Why my kids don't like black kids? My kids don't date black kids. Why is that? Why
I don't know, man. They're so rich. They gotta give us somebody who speaks their language.
Is that
right?
real talk though?
I mean, but you're gonna see the odds are you're gonna send your kids to Ivy League schools from the time they're small, right? Okay, and when you go there, they communicate with the kids that they're around, and most of those kids are gonna be little white kids.
Do you know who these two individuals are?
I know who Mike Tyson is. I just knew it was him from
From what? From what?
his S's.
His essence or his S's?
The way he says his S's.
Oh. Do you know who the other gentleman is?
He looks very familiar, but I didn't really see him very well.
T.I.
Oh,
Yeah.
yep, rapper.
Evidently, the last video, people were offended that you did not know about the gentleman, saying that you don't be paying attention to stuff. So, I was going to ask you if you actually
I'm
knew
like, wait, I'm sorry. Do I get paid for this?
I actually thought this was interesting because the clip starts off with Mike Tyson saying that I don't understand why my kids
Don't like black kids. Or don't date black kids?
or something. Yeah, something of that matter. So you have Mike Tyson, who is the baddest man on the planet for many years, and honestly, most people are probably still scared of him. He has kids that are privileged. See, I was going through, okay, well, your kids have been to private school, have been amongst a different, social economic level, which means that they are going to move a little different than what you would have moved when you were, young because of where you grew up.
Well, but it could come down to the whole ratio thing of where they go to school, where they live. It just might be predominantly white.
So I just thought this was kind of interesting. So I just wanted to hear what Mike had to say about this, and also T.I. had to say about this.
I think sometimes, like, if I look at my daughter and I say, and I see her, and I see that she's attracted to white guy, and I say to myself, I didn't set a good example as a black man then.
I don't think that's it. I think you did.
But that's just my mind goes. Like, my mind goes like, they must have seen me sometimes when I was vulnerable and said, hey, I don't want to be with no one like that. I don't want no one to talk to. Hey, scary. I don't want to be with somebody like that.
I mean, but do you think that they assert that much association with color?
That's smart.
With race, I should say.
Ooh, that's smarter than you think, yes. Yes. Because my son said that's why, I said, I don't like, because I see how my sister act.
Oh,
I said, whoa, that blew my mind.
That's crazy.
So I have liked to actually listen to some of Mike's podcasts and things like that, especially when Mike goes on to different podcasts, because I find it interesting the way he thinks sometimes. Being a boxer and being in sports the way that he was, his knowledge of reflection on himself and also on people and other things around him, honestly, I don't know. I like it. Yeah. So
It's like, what, you think it's like deeper than you would expect?
So growing up, there was an image of Mike. There was an image of Mike that was just mean, bad,
Right.
rough, boxer, knock people out in, 30 seconds. And then he had the Holyfield thing where, he bit his ear. And so there was almost like a portrait of Mike of just, and then Jamie Foxx did a special at one point in time where he said, I think Mike Tyson came in the club and it was like somebody let a bulldog loose in the club. Like everybody was, and so, but there was this picture that was painted of Mike. But the thing is that to hear Mike talk now is that he's very reflective on things of his past and where he is in life now, and I think it's how would I say refreshing? Is that yeah? That's probably not a word that most people use, but anyway, refreshing to me.
I said, what? How do your sister act? Your sister's awesome.
Right.
I think it's the aggressiveness. I think it's confrontational stuff. They think I don't see that. I see black women. I see lust and stuff, and I think that I don't think about fighting with them.
Nah.
I don't think about that aggressive. I think that's even more so. It's just so weird that they think of confrontation is not going to be cool. I'm like, what the is wrong with you? You don't like her?
Right.
I don't understand the concept. I don't understand their vision, what they see, the illusion of beauty, or what do they see? That confused me with my kids. What do they see? How come they can't see what I see?
I think that is different, though. I think if his son is basing his interaction off his sister, siblings have sibling rivalries, you know what I'm saying? And so I would say even amongst, our kids is that at times, the boys aren't as fond of the girls, and the girls aren't as fond of the boys. And so I think, to base that off of, if that's what he feels like his son is basing that off of, I think it's one of those things that could evolve over time. Just for the simple fact is that being that possibly that the percentage of the private school they're going to, this is the only interaction that he's having is with his sister, possibly. And it may skew his thought process. And then, to be honest with you, watching a lot of this stuff online, a lot of the kids are hooked in a lot of this stuff online now. And to watch some of this stuff online, it's going to, kind of like I was talking about my perception of Mike. You know what I'm saying? What the media presented to me when I was young and growing up, the perception of Mike was this wild, bulldog type guy, versus the same thing that these kids are being, projected to through social media.
You don't give somebody or something a chance because you already have this.
Yeah, and this is what social media is saying. Social media has all these culture wars going on: men against women, black men against black women. Honestly, if you go to the other side, white women against white men, because I see that stuff too. And so maybe he will have a chance to reflect a little bit more as he matures and gets older, kind of like his dad.
I don't know that I agree with that. That the son maybe is attracted to white women or not black women because of the sister. I feel like it's not a color thing. I feel like it's more of it's a person thing. It's a personality thing. I mean, there's crazy white people.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're going out there looking for somebody who acts a certain way, I mean, I don't know. I feel like most people are attracted to certain traits in a person, and some of them I think are physical, like what somebody looks like, and then you learn their personality and what they're like.
Yeah, man, that's true.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I've heard this once before with, I don't know who it was, but somebody else was talking about saying that some guys date white women because somebody said because they don't love their mom or something. And I think that's ridiculous. Who doesn't love their mom?
That's not everybody, but I don't think, not everybody doesn't, but I don't think that is the main reason for the majority. Meaning that I think that's a cop-out. Yeah. For people saying that. It's like, you don't, just like people say, it's like, well, you date outside the race because you don't like yourself. It's like. Right. Like, I'm actually like myself a lot.
Right. Well, yes, you do.
Yeah, so. What?
You do.
I mean, because just like you said, the same way, the way you were brought up, and the way what you were brought up around, and what they brought up around. You know what I mean? I think that has a lot to do with it.
And I know I gotta go to typical. I'm not a racist. I just don't see that.
No,
concept.
You ain't got to be seen as a racist like that. I think.
But they're strictly, I'm not going there. They know they're not going there.
Where?
They black. They know they're not going there. They just know they're not going.
I think as long as they happy though, Mike.
Yeah.
As long as they happy, bro.
Now, on that aspect, so there's times when I do like T.I.'s perspective, but there's differences in T.I.'s thought process depending on who he's talking to. And I understand that. But the thing is that I do like his reflection at times too, because he said you got to understand how they're being brought up and who they're around. And
versus how he was brought up.
Yeah, in their environment.
Anyway, as long as they're happy, which I think, yeah.
Yes, as long as, thank you. As long as they're happy.
Who's not paying attention now?
I'm paying attention. I'm just the game is just I can't see the score on this side. But the thing is that as long as they're happy, I think you don't want your kids to have a negative false perception of something, but you also do want them to be happy with who they're with. And so I think kind of trying to balance that out is what you want to try to do, because you don't want to be running from something to something. You want to just understand the differences, and and I don't know if I want to say people, because everybody's different. Every individual person is different. But the one thing that was funny, and this is what I want to, because T.I. says his mother-in-law is white, and they don't see color anymore.
What do you mean?
So I know you said sometimes like I don't see color, and then I've heard other people say, well, I don't see color, but then I've heard people say, well, that's BS. You got to see color.
You see it. Yeah. Okay, wait. That's like it's a saying. It's not like you physically don't see it. You see it. You don't care.
You don't treat somebody based
No.
off of the color of their skin a certain way.
Skin. Listen, we get cut, we all bleed the same.
I don't know.
Our flesh is the same color.
Out.
Our skin is just different colors. That's it.
Okay.
And in the summer, I mean, we're pretty close.
What are you talking about? No.
I might not be.
That's the only reason we're close is because I stay in the shade and you are a sun layer. We on the boat.
Sun goddess.
Yeah, we on the boat. I'm under the shade. You are.
I mean, I'm getting better because I don't want wrinkles.
My mother-in-law she's a white lady, Miss Diane, and I love her to death. She loved me to death. My family's her family's my family. So we don't necessarily see the color now. Now this is just my family member.
In your world, if they lived in your world, but I never lived in these people's world. I worked to get to this world. My kids and them, they're born in this world.
Right.
In my world, I'm still in my mind, I'm different than them.
Well, you are. You are.
You know.
And I'm very different.
My grind was different than theirs.
This is true because a lot of theirs was already in the bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I think, if the most successful, let's say, take Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. You know what I'm saying? All these people, they achieved phenomenal things and did great business and had just enormous strategy to their lives ending up where it is right now. But I say that I am one of them. Now do that shit as a nigga. If you could have did the same thing you did Steve Jobs as a black man, I think that picture would be different. Same thing for Bill Gates, same thing for Warren Buffett. Doing it as a black man is complete. There's so many avenues and obstacles that are created just because of the color of your skin. Really? As soon as you walk in the door, yeah.
I can agree. I can disagree. I can agree starting from the same level. So T.I. starting where he was in his life, and Bill Gates starting, or those starting from where they were in their life. Where T.I.'s kids are starting from now, or have the opportunity to start from now, and Mike Tyson's kids having the opportunity to start from now. I think times are a little bit different.
I disagree.
How do you disagree?
It depends on the process that they're going through, who's leading that process. There are still some white people who will make it difficult, I feel.
Yeah, but this is where I guess I will push back. Difficult in what way? Because if you have the resources and you have the connections, and now it is more of a resource connection, and I, as Mike's possible kids and possible T.I.'s kids, have some of the same connections, but I am more talented than this other person, but I have the connections. Am I on the same level? You are,
but who's allowing you to move up to the next level? That's what I'm saying. I still feel like there are white people who don't want the black person to succeed or don't feel like they're qualified just because of their mental, like whatever they got going on in their head.
And this is where I do have a problem with. The problem that I have with thinking and mentalities at point in times is already possibly putting up a roadblock that may not be there, but possibly being there. Because the thing is that just because I may not get an opportunity in that lane from that person doesn't mean that person didn't give me the opportunity because of my race. It could be multiple other factors.
Yes,
meaning
it goes both ways though.
Yeah.
There are people who were not qualified but thought they were and didn't get the job, and right away they're quick to blame it on, well, it's because of their race.
Because what's in the back of their mind at times.
Maybe, but I don't think that's just I think it's a color thing, but I don't think it's just a color thing. I think it's also like females, going for higher jobs. I think that it's the same thing. Are some females qualified for these jobs that these higher men have? Absolutely, but there are obstacles for women to get those jobs.
Yeah, there are obstacles, but there's a lot of things that we don't see at times, and meaning that. A lot of times connections do mean things, meaning that you may be interviewing for a job
Oh yeah, it's not always about what you know. It's mostly about who you know.
You may be interviewing for a job, and sometimes companies just go through the process, but they already have someone slated because, unfortunately, that's just how it works a lot of times. Is that they have to. It's labor laws and employment laws, and so the thing is that are you at that point in time not getting the position or the job because of your race or gender, or because of connections, because the person already had someone in mind that they wanted to promote or to hire for that job, but they have to legally go through the process and they can't just. And so at that point in time, to as a person internally to blame it, take the blame for myself, I didn't get a job because of my race or I didn't get a job because of my gender, when I don't know the other external factors, I think that's kind of limiting what I'm going to expose myself to, possibly, because there could be a lot of jobs that people are already unfortunately slated for, but then there could be that one job that nobody's slated for, but you are the most potential best candidate for. And at that point in time, that's the time. And that's what I'm saying is like with what I feel sometimes with the limiting, not the limiting, but that mindset in the back. It's like, I'm not going to put my resume out here, or I'm not going to apply myself at this because of what happened over here. And I feel like that people are not letting me get ahead because of my race, when there was other external factors that you did not know about, and people were going through the motions because they had to go through the motions legally, but that job was already taken by someone.
Right.
And so the thing is that I understand the mindset. I think as I've gotten older, and because I did the same thing, a couple years ago, I did the same thing about a huge contract.
Yeah, but it's also just a life lesson. I mean, everybody has that happen to them in life, whether it's color related, anything. You want something so bad, it doesn't work out. You get a bitter taste in your mouth, and you're like, forget it, I'm not trying again. But what I'm saying, when you say color related, I understand where you're coming from. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't, even though I may have thought it might be, it may not have been that. It may have been something else. Right.
But for me, I felt like it was that. But that may not have been the actual reason. But then I don't apply myself to other things because I think because of how people are, or or I won't even reapply when that comes back out because I feel like when that might not have been it at all.
Listen, I used to believe that. And I used to believe about the black stuff, and I've come to believe. I believe that my consciousness supersedes my color.
I believe that as well.
I believe no matter what color I am, no matter who I was, I will be successful.
I believe that as well.
I just believe that's just what it is. I believe my color doesn't have nothing to do with it. I believe that in the beginning of life, and as I got conscious, I believe that I just believe that I'm as far superior than everything else around me. And I'm doing this and I'm succeeding because I'm better, and that's the reason.
Well, I agree with you there, but let's take the times, right, where there were doors slammed in your face after people had written you off, called you crazy, and motherfucker were trying to
happened.
I know it. And motherfucker, so in that moment, if you were a white man, do you think that same shit would have happened?
Depends on what white man I was.
I do like that mindset. No matter what race I am, is like, I'm going to run into obstacles. No matter what gender I am going to run into obstacles. Everyone runs into some type of obstacle. What's the saying? A anthill in your mind could be a mountain in somebody else's mind.
Yes. But it's easy for him to say now what he's saying because he was very successful.
Yeah, but
he is one
of
the best in what he does.
But from where he came from to where he went to, and then where he went back to, and then even going through the trials and tribulations through his career. I mean, he was locked up. He was charged with, like, the man has been through some stuff. Unfortunately, he lost a kid. I think one of his children died at one point. But I think some of this mindset, as you get older and you've been through life and you start to understand that, you've had experiences and you understand sometimes people's motivations aren't what you thought they were after you've had time to look back and to see other things around what has happened, throughout months, years of things happening, is that you start to understand that not everything is what you thought it was, negatively.
Right.
And so I think at this time in life, because of where he is, yes, his mindset is different, But that's some of the things that comes, some of the more wisdom that comes with age.
With
and
age,
experience.
and because he might have ventured out of where he grew up. He grew up, isolated with the same people in the same area. And once you get out, you start having other relationships, talking to other people, meeting other people.
That is true.
You learn more.
That is true. And that is true. And the thing is that your environment does have a lot to do with the way that you think. And being around different people has allowed him to see things in a different light.
Right.